Hello, this is Janet Michael. In addition to hosting The Valley Today each weekday at noon on the River 95.3, I also produce podcasts, and I'm excited to introduce you to a new podcast series in partnership with Lord Fairfax Community College. Having provided higher education and career training for the past half-century, LFCC is tightly interwoven into the fabric of the Northern Shenandoah Valley and Piedmont regions. Join me every week for conversations with current and former students to hear their funny and inspiring stories as we learn about their journey to higher education, the role that LFCC has played, where they are now, and where they plan to go. We'll also talk to current and former professors about their experiences and best memories of LFCC over the past 50 years. Get every single episode as they're released on our website at theriver953.com under the podcast tab, or you can subscribe for free in Apple Podcast, Google Podcast, on Spotify, Amazon Music, wherever you listen to podcasts. Just search for LFCC Stories. Hello and welcome to The Valley Today. I am your host, Janet Michael. Happy Monday as you are listening to the show today. We, however, have pre-recorded our conversation over the Zoom screen on a Friday morning. We are having a conversation today with John the Blessed, and he is with Alcoholics Anonymous. John reached out to me a few weeks ago via email and asked if he could come and do a show. And John, I have to tell you, I am somewhat embarrassed by the fact that most of what I know about AA comes from TV and movies. So I was grateful that you reached out to me to give me a personal education. So thank you for spending some time with me this morning.
Well, thank you for having me. I appreciate it. A lot of people watch Mom. A lot of people watched Hill Street Blues.
So tell me about AA. What exactly is Alcoholics Anonymous? Tell me about the organization.
In the early 30s, a stockbroker got together with, of all people, a proctologist to help each other, not so much not drink, but to live a sober life. Because whatever they were doing was not working alone. And they found that they needed to reach out to another person to bring the solution that they found, which is a spiritual solution to the disease of alcoholism. And AA has worked for me for a little over 35 years. And I'm not saying it is the only way to sobriety, but it certainly has worked for me. So if you want what we have, you may want to do what we did. What it is free. We charge nothing. We have no affiliation with outside issues or outside organizations. Occasionally, we'll get a nudge from the judge that people may wish to attend AA meetings because it was suggested to them by the judge. And that's fine. Thank God there are people that got sober that way. We are not group therapy. We are not doctors, lawyers, marriage counselors, employers. We are just people that would normally not meet who have come together to share the three things we own: our experience, our strength, and our hope, that others may find a life of sobriety, a life of wholeness, and a life of wellness, that we can find serenity in the midst of confusion, and that we don't have to drink anymore. So that's, in a nutshell, what AA is. It consists of 12 basic steps, and the steps themselves are very simple. I admit I'm an alcoholic. My life's unmanageable. But boy, most people would rather die than admit that. And the sad part is most people do. The odds of sobriety, for me, 100% as of today. Tomorrow, I don't know. But for today, it works.
And that's a key component, is one day at a time. I mean, I've heard that a lot. Aside from community being the cornerstone of the organization, it literally is waking up every morning and taking that day as it comes.
And being grateful for it. I can't imagine, or I couldn't imagine in 1985 when I got sober, a life that didn't involve some kind of drinking, partying, solid liquid gas, prescription, doesn't matter. For the rest of my life? Nah, I don't think so. But could I do it for one day? I think I can. And I've been gluing those days together. And some days it is gluing them together.
And the meetings really do help. I've heard that coming to a meeting when you're in a moment of crisis really does help someone get through that next hour that could potentially change the course of the rest of their day, and then again the rest of their week and the rest of their life.
Meetings are interesting, especially now. I was at a meeting this morning in Connecticut, and I'm here in Northern Virginia. So Zoom meetings are a new thing, and oh my goodness, do they help. I needed to find my own kind. I needed to find my own tribe. I needed to find people that spoke the same language as I did. It's interesting. There are some of us that talk about the big book of AA. It's a book of 164 pages of this is how the program works. And then the rest are stories like mine. I've heard it said that it is the equivalent of a Bible, but you know how the Bible was written in Aramaic and in Hebrew and translated? This is the Bible translated into drunk. But it has nothing to do with the Bible, but it's the same message. Clean house, find God, pass it on. Those are the three messages of AA. So while it is not religious, it's not Catholic, it's not Presbyterian, it's not Jewish, it's not Hindu, all can live under its roof.
And being anonymous is a big deal. It is
Absolutely.
The foundation of AA.
Absolutely. And it started out to protect the individual, because back in the 30s, being an alcoholic was horrifically stigmatized. Not so much today, thank goodness. A lot of that has gone away. But in the early days, you needed to know somebody to find a meeting. That's where the term sponsor comes from. You had to be sponsored into AA.
Ah.
And thank goodness that is not the case today, where meetings are publicized. I mean, just do a Google search, AA meeting, and put your zip code in, and you'll get contact information. We, in this area, in your listening area, have a hotline that is manned or womaned person for 24/7. Virtually, there's a meeting going on all the time. If you've got a phone or a computer, you can go to a meeting in Australia. And while meetings are important, the willingness to change is paramount.
And I think that's the biggest thing, because if you have a family member who you feel or suspect is having issues with alcohol, you can't drive them to an AA meeting and tell them to go inside and talk. That's not an effective way of dealing with the problem 95% of the time.
You would be surprised. We have a saying that you can tell a drunk, but you just can't tell a lot. I've met people who had their wife say, you're going to go in there and I'll pick you up in an hour. And I don't want to hear about it. And they came in and they either got sober or they didn't. And there's a lot of husbands that said to their wife, you either get help or else. And whatever else meant. AA, I like to say, and you know, the opinions I'm expressing, while they reflect some of the views of AA, it's really my interpretation of them too. The opinions expressed are my own. I've just been doing this for 30-something years. We are the last house on the block. We have a publication, and one of the things it says in there is, when all else fails, read the directions. When all else fails, when you've tried to stop and you find you can't, and it's not just Johnny Walker, it's not just Budweiser. I know somebody personally whose last drink was lemon extract.
Because you hear that about mouthwash, about other items.
Aftershave. And I would not recommend that. But we're the last house on the block. If you find that you're at a place where your life doesn't make sense anymore and relief is drinking, and you find you can't not drink, contact us. And it's not just drink. It's solid, it's liquid, it's gas, it's prescription. From what I understand, there is, I'm not a heroin kind of guy, but I hear that is a way that a lot of people are getting out of the pain.
And especially now in the middle of this pandemic where it's easier to hide things because you're not necessarily out in public. A lot of people are working from home now, so colleagues and coworkers may not notice something going a little bit awry. You're not spending time with family, and that then breeds into the being alone part, which doesn't help the situation at all.
Isolation is one of the key components to accelerating my drinking. It certainly did, because I didn't want to be perceived as somebody who drank too much or was viewed as somebody who drank too much. It feeds right into the I'm no good, and it's a downward spiral. But it's not true. It's a disease that says when I put flammable liquids into my body, the only thing I want is more. I just want more, because one is too many and 1,000
is not enough.
Not enough.
Let's take a quick break. When we come back, do you mind to share a little bit of your personal story with our
No, not at all. Not at all. That's fine.
Awesome. Well, let's take a quick break. When we come back, we're going to continue our conversation today. We are chatting with John the Blessed. He is a contact for professional community, a CPC for Alcoholics Anonymous. Again, AA.org is where you can start your journey if you are looking for a meeting. But we're going to talk more with John when we come back in just a couple of minutes. I am Janet Michael, and you are listening to The Valley Today.
Do you know anyone who is struggling with financial hardships because of coronavirus? Our new webinar called Coping with the Money Crunch can help. We'll talk about immediate options to consider, revising or creating a spending plan, and lots of community resources. Then we'll cover how to narrow your priorities, contact creditors, and avoid scams and risky loans. The webinar is free, and you can either join by phone or through Zoom on a smartphone, tablet, or computer. You can find out more by visiting the Northern Shenandoah Valley Financial Education Program on Facebook or calling Karen Poff at 540-635-4549. Let me show you how to make your own plan or help someone you care about get through the crisis. Call 635-4549 or visit at NSV Financial Education on Facebook today.
Welcome back to The Valley Today. I am your host, Janet Michael. Happy Monday as you are listening to the show today. We, however, have pre-recorded our conversation with John on the Zoom screen on a Friday morning. John is coming to us to chat a little bit about Alcoholics Anonymous. And John, in the beginning, you told us a little bit about how AA got started, what the premise is. We talked about the importance of being anonymous, and you referenced briefly your personal story. Can you tell me a little bit about your personal story and what was your very first AA meeting like?
Well, I'd be happy to. It helps me remember what those days were like. Of course, it's only my story, and you know, everyone else has got their own story, but it's one of the things that I own. It's truly mine. Oh, geez, where do I start? I was raised in an alcoholic home. Sundays, we would go to church early so that Dad would have more time to yell at us. I had to come to grips in sobriety with the fact that he was an alcoholic himself. And a simple test for that is, because I remember asking my sponsor, and maybe we want to talk about sponsoring too. I remember asking my sponsor, like, give me a working definition of an alcoholic. And he said, that's simple. And this is not doctor approved or anything. He said an alcoholic is someone who, when drunk, continues to drink. I said, well, yeah, and see, drunks understand that. That's the point. Get to the buzz level and stay there. And I chased that for years. and I was not successful. So one day coming home, I cut off a state trooper and got pulled over in front of my house.
Oh.
Guy says, "Where do you live?" I said, "Right there." He said, "Get in the car." And three-piece suit and handcuffs. I can remember as if it were yesterday. I don't know why there were two cops in the car, but there were. And then we were driving up to the police station, and one turned around and said, "I can't believe you're taking it so well." I'm sitting there with handcuffs on.
Because you have such a choice, right?
Yeah, right. And I looked at him. I said, "Now I got to look at it. I got to look at my drinking." And I lost my license, lost my job, and thought I lost my mind. One of the requirements for getting my license back was to go to an outpatient alcohol and drug treatment facility. So I went there, and they said, "Get in the van." I got in the van, and they said, "Go into church basement." And I went in the church basement, and there was a circle of tables and people sitting around having coffee. And they introduced themselves. They said, "My name's Bill, I'm an alcoholic. My name's Mary, I'm an alcoholic. I'm George, I'm an alcoholic." I thought, how sad. They have to degrade themselves that way. Well, I didn't know. I just didn't know. Being an alcoholic has been the cornerstone of my new life. I measured time from growing up to when I started drinking, and then from when I drink to when I stopped. And then the third part is in sobriety. That's how affected I've become because of the program of AA. My first meeting, I guess we can talk about what happens at an AA meeting.
Yes.
Typically, they last an hour. Some last an hour and a half, but that's rare. There's a new thing. It's called a Zoom meeting. The bottom line is you don't have to do anything at an AA meeting. You don't have to share. You don't have to not share. You don't have to drink coffee. You don't have to sit. You don't have to stand. You don't have to do anything. There is no president of AA. There is no secretary. Well, there's a secretary sometimes. There's no dues. There's no fees.
And there's no record. When you say secretary, nobody's taking minutes. Nobody's writing down these stories
No.
that can later identify somebody. It is completely and totally anonymous.
Yes, ma'am. That's why I use the word John the Blessed, because where I got sober, there was a bunch of Johns. You know, you got Bicycle John, Mailman, John the Mailman, and then you got Seven Finger John. Guess why? So when I progressed through the steps, there is a milestone step, and in that, my life changed. There's an old tradition that when you become someone else, you take on a new name. That's an old spiritual tradition in some faiths. So I took on John the Blessed so that I remember. I don't live on borrowed time. I live on granted time. And you can see how close this comes to my core. And it's my hope that it will happen that way for others.
You mentioned a few minutes ago about your sponsor. Do you still have a sponsor 35 years in? What role do they play now in the AA organization?
It used to be you needed to be sponsored in, and that has changed. In the 80s, really weird things happened, in my opinion, of AA because of just the volume of people that were admitted to rehabs.
Well, the 70s were quite a decade.
No, the 80s said that Blue Cross would pay for it.
Ah.
So meetings went from 20 to 100 because of people coming out. But anyway, I digress. I had the same, my sponsor's name was Dr. Bob, and he was an old curmudgeon, and I had the same sponsor for 25 years.
Wow.
And Bob passed away a couple of years ago. I spoke to my new sponsor yesterday morning. We meet on Tuesdays and Thursday mornings over Zoom. He just moved to Connecticut. Is it important? For me, it is. Other people, I don't know. But friendship is one thing. Sponsorship is another. I'm willing to take advice from him, which is at the core of my recovery, is the willingness to take advice. Not that I follow it every time, but but it's deeper than a friendship, but yet when I sponsor people, I tell them that I will sponsor them and lead them through the steps of recovery because I've gone down that road before. I know where the handholds are and where the pitfalls are. I will sponsor them until it hurts me because I need to not have, you know who got me sober? A bunch of strangers. And for a real good reason. They had no other ties to me. They didn't have confused agendas. That's why family members, they really love you and they want to help you, but they got a vested interest in that too.
And typically, too, there is some sort of history. There is a whole lot of drama that could be hidden below baggage. There is a lot of baggage versus these strangers who don't have any skin in the game other than your progress.
Yes. And I've sponsored people. It's like, this is what I see. And if you don't like that, have a great life. I've been fired by people, and it's all part of it. It's all part of it. And strangers, people I had nothing in common with except that they wanted to see me succeed. And it's incredibly important to me because over the years, Dennis and I have developed a rapport. We have history, but it's so much deeper than just friendship, so much deeper. And I treasure those things. It doesn't have to be, but for me it is.
If somebody is listening right now and they want to get help or want more information, they want to start on their journey of either research or finding a meeting, any of those sorts of things, what should they do? What is their best first step to just make a forward moving motion?
Okay, there are a couple of different kinds of meetings. There are open meetings. And then there are meetings reserved for alcoholics only. That's where you have to identify at the beginning of the meeting or you're asked to wait somewhere else. Open meetings are open. AA.org will steer you to online meetings or local meetings in your area and put in a zip code. You can just go to Google, put in AA meeting and 22630.
That's the Front Royal zip code, or 22645 or 22601, anywhere in our listening area.
Yeah, and you'll pop up with information. We're in Region 40, which is a geographical area, a couple of counties, and we run a hotline. I am not AA national or anything. I'm just a local drunk that is taking up the mantle of getting the word out. Some of you will recognize me by my voice or by my name. Others will not, and it's okay. Otherwise, go up and just do a Zoom meeting. AA and then a space and then Zoom, and you'll come up with Zoom meetings.
You were telling me during the break that you're not even required to turn the video portion on of a Zoom meeting for AA, so that adds an even extra layer of anonymity.
It's really a double-edged sword. If you're not willing to walk in the door, that's the hardest thing to do. I was forced. I chose to walk into an AA meeting so I can get my license back. So, I pre-qualified myself. I was willing to do whatever I had to do what I needed to do. So it's like a double-edged sword, but you know what? We have a saying, bring the body, the mind will follow. So I encourage you to go to a Zoom meeting, listen in, see if what we have fits. We are not the be-all and end-all of sobriety. I mean, you could just... How about this? Just don't drink. Now, if you can't not drink, then maybe you have an issue.
And I feel like that perhaps that is a whole nother show that you and I should do about the outside influences that would look at somebody and say, well, just stop. Because
that's funny.
Yeah. So I think that could be a whole nother show.
So there are a lot of outside things and a lot of inside things that caused me to drink, but the bottom line is I drank because I was an alcoholic. I suffered from a disease that has two components, is a physical component. My body does not process alcohol, and it's coupled with a compulsion to want more. And the only way that I've been able to arrest it is to not take the first drink every day, day in, day out. I never have taken the first drink since then. And it's tough. Go up to Roma's and watch out for the seafood bisque tonight. It's got wine and it's got sherry.
I did not know that. And that's what I mean. There are so many different layers to this. I really feel like you and I should just do a whole series on all of the things that you didn't know.
Yeah, it's now I have salad.
Well, John, thank you so much for reaching out to me. This has really been an enlightening conversation, and I do appreciate your candor and your willingness to come and share your story with me today.
My pleasure, anytime.
We are going to wrap up our conversation. We have been chatting with John the Blessed. We've been talking about Alcoholics Anonymous. Again, AA.org is a great place to start your journey. Again, as John mentioned, you can just type in AA and the zip code or Zoom and find yourself an anonymous meeting. Tomorrow is Tourism Tuesday, and I have already recorded that show because I took a field trip last week and I went to the pumpkin patch at Edgewood Farms, even did the pumpkin slingshot, for which I have video, and I will post it on the station's Facebook page tomorrow. So meet me back here just a few minutes after noon, and I will have that show ready to go for you.